Good morning, everybody. Thank you. All right, so now Alex gives me a reason to, well, two things. One tenet I like to follow in my career is that if you're going to do public speaking, you should do it right after nationally known storytellers and great orators, so I always try to nail that one. And the second is I've learned that I have a great ally in Baratunde on a topic, just to give you a little bit of a window into the working relationship that Vilas and I have. I'm also often referring to my friends in my life. I'm proud to, I think, have many, and have many from different phases of my life. And so I'm often saying to Vilas, well, I had dinner with a good buddy from college. Or I'll say, I'm getting a chance to catch up with a dear friend from elementary school. And one day he said, what is the deal with this taxonomy you seem to have? Like, are some people closer friends? I was like, well, we've got different kinds of friends, different kinds of people, different types of relationships. And I realized that maybe now I need to check in with Baratunde about how he builds that spectrum himself. So I am really, really excited to be here this morning, and I'm so grateful that you all have chosen to take the time out of your busy weeks. And importantly, I think in the work that we do in philanthropy, it's often a busy season to spend 2 days here with us. My name is Cain. I'm the Vice President of Strategy and Innovation at the Patrick D. McGovern Foundation. And I've spent a lot of time thinking about how to get y'all in this room for this conversation. So thank you for being here. For those of you that were with us last year, I opened our conversation at our first Fund.AI gathering with a bit of a continuation of the type of sense-making that we just did a few moments ago. We wanted to make sure that we were working from sort of a common understanding of what we meant when we said AI. What specific tools and technologies were we referring to? What was kind of in bounds for the conversation? I'm not going to repeat that conversation today, except to say that I want to encourage us to continue to have a really expansive view of the term. Baratunde and Vilas already sort of built on this theme and set a nice stage in the sense that as we are thinking about the ways in which these technologies can be applied for good, we're talking about machine learning and predictive algorithms. We're in some cases talking about large language models and many other capabilities. Computer vision was mentioned. So I really want to encourage us to continue to keep that frame as we progress through today and tomorrow. One of the reasons that's important is because stuff continues to change really fast. Since we were together about a year ago, AI's capabilities have indeed continued to rapidly expand. We're seeing, I promise we didn't plan this, but it was hit on as well, science, incredible discoveries in the ability to use AI to literally discover new properties of how the natural world works with itself. Small language models have emerged as a way to drive down costs and think about ways to increase access to both the ability to build and train these models, as well as to deploy them for more specific use cases for specific communities. I think that's a theme that we also already hit on this morning. And a term that, if you've been following at least a little bit closely this field, the rise of agentic AI, or autonomous AI agents that are able to complete a series of sequential tasks with very limited human intervention. Things are moving quickly, and all of these capabilities have relevance to the communities I think that we all care about most. But it didn't really feel right to me to talk just about the tech. You may have noticed lots of other things have changed in our world if we were to look back at the calendar of 12 months ago when we gathered in New York. And particularly for the communities that our institutions really aim to lift up and support, I would argue that the changes in the world that we've seen in those 12 months have been far more profound, even than the pace of development of this incredible set of technologies that we're here to talk about today. To name just a handful, we've seen the dissolution of USAID and other forms of social safety net here in the United States and abroad that provide valuable services to reduce vulnerability in communities around the world. We're seeing incredible pullbacks in commitment around fighting climate change, and even a notion that the simple act of caring about the climate is a political act in and of itself, and therefore something to be approached with caution, which continues to boggle my mind. And that we have tremendous labor uncertainty. We have young people uncertain about where their careers may head, partly due to some trepidation and uncertainty around how AI may affect the workplace, but not just because of AI's role in this conversation. It's a tumultuous time. And I'm often out in our community where I live in Portland, Oregon, in New York for Climate Week, and UNGA, where I saw many of the friendly faces in this room just a couple weeks ago, and many other places where we do our work. And when we talk about this, and when I'm in conversation, particularly with others in our field, the field of philanthropy, I hear this question. With so much of our forward progress at risk, with so many headwinds to the many critical issues that we care about, look, and I should say, with so many open questions about AI's social and environmental impact, very valid questions, important conversations, I'm posed the question, is this really the thing to focus on? Specifically, is AI philanthropy's story? Is this something that our institution should lean into, or perhaps sit out and let others take the wheel? I'll take a moment to just remind you who's not sitting out. And I think Baratunde also helped us hit this point right on the head. Big oil is using AI to find fossil fuels faster and more cheaply and get them out of the ground so they can burn them. Employers are thinking about ways to use AI to screen resumes. And even if you leave the bias question aside, this is fundamentally changing the way we access the labor market. So if you're a workforce funder and you care about helping young people get into jobs, this matters to understanding how the workforce of tomorrow will get into their next jobs. Landlords and property managers are using AI on a regular basis to screen and predict who's going to be a good tenant. If you care about one of the most fundamental inputs to leading a dignified life, which is access to shelter, this is your story. And if you care about what work looks like, period, particularly for folks that often do some of the most vulnerable work in our society, in factories, all along the supply chain that takes goods and puts them in our hands, AI is that story too. There are plenty of nefarious ideas about how to use AI to surveil, maximize productivity, and in my view, likely squeeze every last bit of dignity out of that type of work. But, as we know, when we lean in and don't sit out, really, really wonderful things can happen. This is a set of slides that could probably go on about 12 long. Many of the grantees that are supported by our organization, by our wonderful colleagues at Fast Forward, and many of you in this room are the leading examples of what it looks like to lean in and to say, this is our story, and these are tools that we can use. And I hesitate to make it a fair fight or us versus them framing, but I think it's actually kind of helpful to emphasize the urgency of this moment, to level the playing field, to help an environmental campaigning organization say, I can now work through reams and reams of documents that help me catch banks in acts of greenwashing. We can distribute, using computer vision, low-cost diagnostic tools for diseases that get people treatment faster. And one that I'm particularly passionate about, we can level the playing field for these institutions that in a moment where we are fighting to keep our democracy healthy and strong, for communities to have trust in what they're seeing in their day-to-day lives, AI has become a tool that is helping small media organizations compete, deliver on the promise that they've made to their communities to be factual, to be fast, and to be responsive. So, if you're here, maybe what I just said is resonating. It's likely one of the reasons you got on a plane or got in the car or on BART to be here today. So I don't mean to tell you something you already know. Instead, my message is just one of urgency. Particularly when we think about what has happened in the last 12 months, this is a time to lean in. And I'm very, very hopeful that you will take the opportunity to be here and being here for these 2 days. If you're kind of a veteran of the game, if you've been doing this for a while, reach across the table, get to know someone who may be newer to this conversation, share your email, make sure that when they're ready to put forward a memo to their board to say, hey, I think we want to do maybe $1 million pilot next year to help our grantees use AI, that they have someone they can call and say, does this look right? What do you think? If you're newer, if you're an early explorer in this work, maybe you're coming with some trepidation, some uncertainty, voice that, share it, be in conversation with those of us that have maybe been in this work for a bit longer. And I hope walk out, particularly tomorrow afternoon, with a commitment to at least some exploration to take this work forward. And finally, I'll use a refrain that I shared on stage with my good friend, that's one of my categories, Alex Diaz just last week in New York City, which is that all of us look aggressively for opportunities for collaboration. I believe so strongly that the opportunity cost for us in our field continuing to work in silos is unacceptably high. There is just too much work to be done, and particularly when we talk about technology, this is a subject that will come up over multiple days of our time together. We've got to collaborate. We've got to find where the technologists can lend their experience to another organization. We've got to find the data sets that the organization over here can use to build new insights about the work that they're doing. We need to look past just simple pooled funding and think about other radical ways that philanthropies can kind of finally break out of our normal patterns and find new ways to work together. So those are my humble wishes for all of us over the next couple days. Thank you again for being here, and I'm so excited to talk to all of you over the next couple days. Thank you.